Oh, hey! Didn't see you there. Well, since you're already here, might as well take you along for the ride. Matt, you tell him.
Welcome to 2016.
Yeah, That's the way every day goes. Every time we've no control. If the sky is pink and white, if the ground is black and yellow, it's the same way.
What's looking good, cooking?
Dang it! I always mess that up. I'm from the future. I should know that. Uh-oh. I just told you I was from the future, didn't I? Oh. Oh well. Since I already told you, I might as well, elaborate further. So I'm actually from the future, and I went to an alternate reality, and I got a B on this project. So, it's my mission to change that. I'm gonna make the best project of all time. And, to do that, got my fancy tie on, and I'm gonna take you through the wonderful year of 2016. So glad y'all get to join me. Anyways, move on to the first event. Brexit.
So Brexit, obviously, the British leaving the European Union was something that was like a really close vote for them in their parliament, and it only passed by like 1%, like 51 or so percent.
After the results of the Brexit referendum released the next day, we'll see a lot of passionate opinions about people talking about whether they would leave the union or stay in the union. So, let's get into it.
When I found out we were leaving, especially since it looks like the majority of London voted to remain as well.
I actually voted out for one of the reasons is, we've been in it for such a long time now, and it's all like, I've always wondered how far we got. We haven't really got anywhere with it, so I thought to myself, well, let's vote out, let's see where we go.
Basically, I'm a Brexit geezer. Obviously voted to get out of the union. There's all this beans and toast everywhere and I can't eat it. Right, they won't let me go to the pub with me boys. I can't go watch a Man U game. What the Anyway, I don't even know what to do anymore. Out here, give me bottles of water instead of freaking beer. Right, what the I'm sitting here on the pavement instead of doing me job. I'm trying to go enjoy my life. And the union is over here just...
We've got another really, really good event. 2016, man, let me tell you. It's got a lot of good stuff, These goggles, they actually let me see into the future. That's why I'm wearing them right now. And guess what I see? I see another great event. And now I'm sure you all know what that event is. It's the 2016 presidential election of the USA.
I remember and the significance of it, primarily because of definitely the candidates that both parties, elected as their front runners, and Hillary Clinton, if she would have won, the first woman president, and obviously that is very significant, being the first female president of the United States after it's always been male. And so
at the time I was up north in Rhode Island, and most of the brothers up north are Democrats. The way the opponent was being pushed down, I wasn't used to seeing that. Everybody has their own ideas, but to constantly knock somebody down, and I didn't know whether or not it was because it was a woman or I wasn't sure. But it was like, push her as far down as possible, and that didn't sit well with me, nor did it with the brothers.
The election, man. Pretty cool. Honestly, one of the most remembered ones, and I got it in my ear. Pretty cool. Anyways, our next event. The virus is a virus that is given through mosquitoes. It really caught traction in early 2015 and began spreading around the Caribbean and the Americas.
It was spreading in like South America and like Caribbean islands and places where like malaria and other mosquito-borne illnesses happen. But since we live, you know, in like subtropical Louisiana, it was also kind of scary. It seemed like there was potential for it to come into the United States. And if it were to come to the US, it would come probably around here first, or at least like somewhere in the southern US. And so that was scary.
I know it was a disease that was spread by mosquitoes. It was particularly like in the Caribbean, and like my dad is a doctor for female, a female doctor. And I know that my friends and I were planning a giant trip down to the Caribbean. And Zika virus isn't so much deadly to people who contract it through a mosquito bite. What it's really deadly for is that it causes pregnant women's like fetuses to not develop their brain properly. And so people who got Zika, if you were pregnant, ran a like ridiculous risk of like a baby being born with no brain.
Zika virus, you know, it was very dangerous, but it never really caught on. It never had the same amount of traction as the coronavirus in 2020. So our next topic, a very, very sad passing of one of the greatest boxing legends of all time and one of the greatest civil rights activists of all time. It's Muhammad Ali.
This is a God dream. This is a God.
So I'm not a super huge boxing fan, but I mean, everyone knows who Muhammad Ali is, right? Like, as a boxer. And certainly, right, like, I mean, he is disputably, right, like, him and Mike Tyson, probably two of the most well-known boxers ever. We had about 2,700 AP U.S. history teachers in Muhammad Ali's hometown when news broke that Muhammad Ali had died from Parkinson's disease, which he had for a while, and it impacted his mobility and his ability to like continue to box. But certainly, right, like what you now have was like all these American history nerds, and you're gonna have the funeral for one of the greatest boxers and also one of the greatest civil rights champions of that generation, right? In the town where you have all these American history nerds, right, like running around.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Very few people in history have a quotation that the majority of people can remember throughout time. Muhammad Ali is certainly one of those historical figures. So when I hear people say that Muhammad Ali is the greatest fighter that's ever lived, I like to add he's arguably the greatest fighter that ever lived, because I only was exposed to Mike Tyson. I was too young to remember Muhammad Ali. But as I got older, I certainly came to realize his greatness, his influence in culture, his influence in boxing and sports in general. Unlike many sports figures, Muhammad Ali surpassed sports. He went beyond sports. When Muhammad Ali died in 2016, being a boxing fan, like I said, admiring Mike Tyson's work, I remember it was a huge news story. Not because he was a good boxer, because he was a global figure. Muhammad Ali, like I said, he surpassed sports. His name isn't just as a good fighter, but his name is, he was a humanitarian. He was an activist. He marched for rights for people, especially in the 1960s.
I'm not really sure where my phone is. Hey, my crew, if you can hear me, just move on to the next topic. All right, I'm sure I'll find y'all eventually.
The Pulse nightclub shooting occurred on June 12th of 2016 when a shooter entered the gay Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, killing 49 people and wounding 50 plus more.
And with it being a big, disastrous event in a nightclub where, people don't expect, for that to happen. People go there to enjoy and have a good time, and then someone comes in and ruins all of that. And so devastating to watch and to see. And, years later, looking back at it, almost 10 years later, from that happening, it's almost like we haven't advanced as far as gun violence is concerned, and we still see stuff like that happening. It's, you know, it enrages all of us, I'm sure, and we fight for change, and, you know, hopefully that happens, you know, eventually. And
being a former bar owner, I had several different bars, and just imagining an event like that happening at one of my businesses would have been just, I would have been distraught. The shooter was targeting a certain sect of our population that is, you know, not always appreciated and is stigmatized, and I remember thinking about just, you know, one more thing that they have to deal with. You know, now they have to fear for their lives.
I think I'm good. Anyways, that event was pretty terrible, honestly. 2016, I thought you were better. Anyways, so I said how I lost my phone, right? I went and snagged somebody's phone. They were sitting on a bench. I think she's following me. She said her name was like Miss Davis or something. I don't know. I'm gonna hide real quick, and I hope she doesn't see me or give me a B. The flood of 2016, or the no-name storm, was a result of over 20 inches of rainfall in some parishes and caused mass flooding and major property damage to a lot of areas in Louisiana.
My office is in Gonzales, and much of Gonzales flooded, so I had, out of all the people that worked there, I was the only one who could actually get to the office. My boss, where he lived, he was basically trapped in his house. His house didn't flood, but he was on higher ground, but everything around him was flooded, so he was like on an island. And so he was able to use his cell phone, but I was the only one who could get to the office. So I ended up basically opening the office every day so we could sell I worked in electrical distribution at the time, so I could sell people material, you know, that they needed. One of my good customers at one of the plants, his home was completely devastated. It went up to the, he lived in Gonzales, it went all the way up to his gutters, the water.
2016, what is it with all these bad events lined up? I thought you were better than this. Uh-oh. Wait. She broke into my car, but I got away. Since I'm so committed to finishing this project, I made a time traveling device. So I'm gonna use that real quick, and I'll see you in the future. But I gotta get away first. Oh, I got away. It's future Jack. About 20 minutes in the future, actually. Yeah, I was just doing some preparations in case she came back. But it looks like we got away. Anyways, thanks for coming on the ride of 2016, man. Really glad y'all could join me. It was fun. You know, some ups and downs, but overall I think it was a pretty good year. So, yeah, credits.
Why you mad? Fix your face. Ain't my fault they all be jacking. Keep up.